Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Podcasters, the show where we talk all things movies, TV shows, video games, and a bunch of other things in no particular order. My name's Regan, and I'm joined by my distinguished co-host. It's Dan.
Just feeding my ego here.
I'm just thinking of some new words. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself.
I mean, it makes a change from the usual insulting words, but yeah.
Insults?
Hello,
what are you
everybody.
talking about?
With episode 26 here, me and Regan are going to be talking about the newest and most excitable Predator film ever, Prey.
Is it though? We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
It could be another hot take this week. We don't know.
It could be polar opposites.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest. I mean, like, given the last 26 episodes, I think we've kind of proven how it usually goes down. It's like you on one end of the spectrum and me on the other end.
Yeah, with like the very, very rare occasion of where we actually both like a film very, very much.
Yeah.
I think that was the only time that ever happened was like Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm pretty sure
Which we
that
didn't
was...
even do a video on, to be honest, because we were late to this. We did it at the beginning of 2022. But yes, so as Dan had said, we're talking about the newest Predator film, or at least we're talking about it a little bit later. There'll be a spoiler-free review, because of course we're doing that. And there'll be a little bit of a spoiler-filled discussion afterwards. As ever, we're talking about our playlist for the week, whether or not I've beaten Dan again, who knows. And we've got a little bit of news to talk about, mostly just a lot of cancellations this week, which is hilarious.
Oh,
and also
yeah.
embarrassing and really troublesome. But yes, as ever, there are time codes in the description if you want to jump around a bit, because I remembered this week again, because I've actually got it written down again, because I'm clever. 26
Just
episodes
post-it
in.
notes stapled around your laptop. Remember, time codes.
Yeah, trust me, initial scripts were just literally just bullet points everywhere. There wasn't even any order. It was just, oh yeah, remember to talk about that, and I remembered it at the end.
I can honestly imagine, Regan, like, you know, in those crime films where, like, the now unemployed detective has, like, a obsession with, like, the killer on the wall kind of thing, and there's just, like, dots pointing to here and there. It's just post-it notes with, like...
Honestly, trying to figure out the next bunch of episodes, not just for the rest of this month, but like into December, it's just been a complete nightmare. And it's all because of just September, because you're away for a week and I'm away for... Well, I'm not away for a week, but I'm away to a point that I can't do anything. So everything's been pushed back a little bit. But we can gloss that over in later days. So let's just kick things off with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, with some... This news actually dropped, I think it was just before we recorded the last episode, but because everything was so sudden between episodes previously, we didn't really address this one. And that was updated details on Namor the Submariner, who has since been confirmed to be in the film. So I've never read the comics very well, but I've known for years that Namor the Submariner is essentially Marvel's version of Aquaman, with a slightly better name, because Aquaman is just funny, frankly. But both of them are the ruler of Atlantis in the comics. So because Aquaman got his film first, or at least appeared in a film first, Marvel's like, well, we can't really use Atlantis again, despite the fact it's it's an actual place. Well, not really, but So it's been confirmed that he's now the ruler of a different place. This time it's a place called Talakan. As it turns out, this was actually, again, I'm not saying it was a thing, because, but this city existed in Aztec mythology. There's like a paradise-like place.
Okay, that's pretty neat then.
So it's Atlantis, basically. they've just shifted it from so like one corner of the world to the other one, essentially. I kind of expected this, to be honest, mostly just because of how successful Aquaman was and the fact he's still getting a film. Did you say it was next March? Last week, I think you said?
Yeah, next March, which seems... Well, to be honest, I think with the history of cancellations, especially this week as well, don't have high hopes for it. Let's just say that, okay?
We will get to that. There has been many.
But yeah, it is set for next March, but as we said, that the news this week has been a lot of cancellations and stuff like that, so actually whether or not it is March, well...
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
Or whether any other film is released, we're not going to know.
Yeah, we'll never know. Yeah, I mean, I'm still quite intrigued by this one. I'm not, massively, looking forward to it. I think it is mostly just down to the fact that Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us, so trying to do a sequel to that film. Considering how
Oh
successful
yeah, I think
it
there
was.
was always fear of what they were gonna do.
Because
Because obviously, I mean, it's been in talks for ages, ever since Chadwick's death.
yeah,
How are they going to make the second sequel? I mean, hell, I even remember a time where, like, producers and stuff were just not even interested in carrying it on.
which
They were just wanting to leave it and focus on something else, which is totally understandable because,
Yeah,
as you
totally.
say, without Chadwick's presence there, it's like, well, what can happen? But obviously things have been worked out a little better, so I guess we'll see when. And when is that actually due out?
November.
Black Panther? November. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so literally in 3 months.
Ooh, okay.
Same month as Black Adam.
I can tell you which film I'm more excited to see.
I think Black Adam comes out first. To be honest, I think it's Halloween, then Black Adam, and then Black Panther 2. So it's going to be a busy month, frankly.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Or at least Halloween. Oh no! Sorry, no. Actually, I'm way off. Black Adam's first. It's actually in October. The same with Halloween. That makes sense because freaking Halloween's in October. Putting on.
Bit of
I'm
brain
gonna put
fog
on
there.
my stupid fez, which is downstairs, so I can't use it. Never mind. Sticking with Marvel, again, details that came out around the time of us recording the last episode. We had some updated stuff on the Spider-Man freshman year animated series Disney Plus thing they're doing. So we talked about this in the Comic-Con episode a couple of weeks ago. We got some concept art for Spider-Man freshman year, which showed a comic-accurate version of Doc Ock, and it also has Norman Osborn, complete with his weird hairstyle that he had in the comics where he just looks like it's been toasted.
That's a very descriptive way of putting it.
Once you've seen
Haircut
it,
like a toaster.
yeah. So I think even we said, how the hell does this fit into canon? Especially because Peter's never met a Norman Osborn or a Doc Ock in this universe.
Yeah.
Well, we now have a confirmation. Bugger.
Mm-hmm.
So we got told initially this was set before the events of Captain America Civil War and basically be like his little origin story, despite the fact that his trilogy was an origin story anyway. They talk about how it goes from him picking up that broken DVD player at the beginning of Civil War, walks into his apartment for the famous moment where Tony Stark is there on the couch, but instead it's Norman Osborn. This is essentially a what if for an entire season. So it's not.
Alright, so it's basically just what if, but Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean,
fair enough.
This suddenly makes more sense now, considering that Tom Holland isn't back to play the character again. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's like the same. Well, probably won't be the same one who was in What If Zombies, which is also getting its own series. Yay. But it's weird. I mean, I don't know how interested you were in the series to begin with, because I didn't feel like we needed to see it, frankly.
I mean, I can't really say I've watched like a lot of like animated Spider-Man stuff. I mean, hell, I'm still yet to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. You know what it is? It's just sitting in my Amazon purchase, like just there. It's just sitting there. But obviously, that's Miles. That's Miles as Spider-Man. But I mean, when this thing comes out, I'm gonna give it a shot just to see what it's like. Because if it is a what if scenario, then
Basically,
why not? Because I enjoyed the what if season, whatever you want to call it. I did. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a shot. I mean, I guess we'll see how mind-boggling it really is, but because let's face it, I mean, that entire thing was just mind-boggling. So some of the episodes were just like, I really didn't think about this, but now that it's like literally what if?
Yeah. I'll definitely watch it, but I think it's the same with like a lot of the Marvel stuff, which I will be talking about in a couple of weeks. I've got an episode planned on because I've had time to think about everything that they've announced, like the 73 things. they've announced, as you poetically put, like a couple of hours ago in a meme. Thanks, Dan. I only just read it.
No problem.
But yeah, I'll give it a shot with that first episode. Now let's start with the cancellations. We're not going to go with DC yet. We're going to reference the other one that happened, which, to be honest, annoyed me more than this. And this is we did our I think we did something on because it was with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I think we're talking about was it? No, it wasn't. It was when I did Uncharted and I talked about video game films and what's like the best ones.
Yeah.
And I labelled the 2018 Tomb Raider as the best one overall.
Yes.
Yes. And how that was getting a sequel that's been long gestated, different directors, but Alicia Vikander's still in it. No, that's just gone now.
Oh, so that's just totally off the face of the earth now, right?
Yeah, entirely. MGM, the company that owned the rights to the films, they lost the rights last week.
Right.
So
nice. See what I did there? That was fun.
Yeah. So I've got a quote from the Wrap, which I think is fairly, it's a fairly reliable source. Which for us is more of an in joke than anything else, just like a reliable source. If you didn't go to college with us, you wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about. Oh, he's getting Vietnam flashbacks. Okay, let's move on. So the quote was, MGM had till May of this year to greenlight a Tomb Raider sequel. Will you stop doing that face? I didn't care if it's just audio. I'm still having to look at that face. The twitching
Cheeky
face. Yes, so they had till May to greenlight the sequel, and obviously it's now August. That window completely passed. So as far as I know, it's like as of us recording this episode, which is actually on time for once, there are a few other studios that are basically in a bidding war. Alicia Vikander is no longer a part of the project at all now. Currently the rights are now back with the game company, so they're at Square Enix, I think it is still.
I believe it's Enix.
Yeah.
Square Enix, yeah.
Yeah, I was really annoyed by that because I'm very much a defender of that film, even if it's not like the most.
It's definitely not the most perfect film ever, but it's definitely one of the best video game films, and we even said that easily. Oh
yeah, definitely.
Well, that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because I think Alicia Vikander would have been fantastic in just like a lot of them. It would have been really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the other ones.
I'm rather looking forward to this.
This is just absolutely unprecedented, quite frankly, and I think everyone else has said this, like, this level of cancellations, which even then, it's not like a lot of things have been cancelled, but everything has changed because of this one cancellation, which, as everyone knows, is Batgirl, which, with a budget of $90 million, directed by the guys who did Bad Boys for Life, which was actually pretty good. I actually quite liked that one. Was finished filming, in the editing phase, and now it's gone. Just cancelled. Niet.
$90 million down the drain.
Yep. There was also going to have Michael Keaton back as Batman, for some reason. Even though you had J.K. Simmons as Jim Gordon, which I've got questions. Like, which universe is this in now?
A variant, maybe?
Yeah, we're not going there. No, just normal variants. I'm not doing that anymore. Multiverse, my arse. Yeah, so this was initially going to be, I think it was going to be a theatrical film before they put it to HBO Max, which is also changing again as well. Apparently that's being turned into something else because of the whole merger thing that happened a couple months ago between Warner Brothers and Discovery. This is basically just part of this. So Warner Brothers got a new CEO, David Zaslav, who basically just came in and just cleaned up everything. He was just like, nope, don't need this, don't need that, don't want to do that, don't want to do that, nope, absolutely nope, and just everything just got canned. So DC is once again completely screwed.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? I just remember seeing Batgirl cancelled. I thought, Well, DC's pretty screwed here.
Mm-hmm.
That was my exact thought. I thought, well, DC's in the pooper now.
Obviously, there's been a lot of like varying reasons as to why this happened. Like why this film specifically got canned. Apparently, there were some test screenings that weren't like too great. I think some people looked at it and thought it looked very cheap, looked very CW Arrowverse-esque, and I was like, I don't need that anymore.
Yeah,
That was
we've had
very,
that.
very cheap. That being said, I mean, I was still very much looking in. I was definitely interested in it. Like, even for like a Bat something project, like it actually looked quite good. Plus, I think like the biggest reason I wanted to was because Brendan Fraser was going to be in it as Firefly. And I was like, oh, for God's sake, we nearly had him back.
I mean, talk about like pulling the rug under your feet like last minute. $90 million that's a hell of a lot of money.
Oh yeah, for some reason it was actually cheaper to basically just write it off than it was to put it out there potentially into cinema. I'm like, is it really though? Because you're still losing.
Well, I mean,
it's just
yeah. Like, surely it would make more sense to at least actually distribute it to something and hope that it gets some, I don't know, critic reception out of it. Maybe a bit of money. I mean, hell, look, I wouldn't imagine that film would, like, outdo its budget. It's just one of those things, I think.
Yeah,
It would have probably been better than Catwoman, let's face it. Like,
anything is better than Catwoman. And I mean
getting
anything.
stung by bees.
Even some of the films that
Catwoman.
I've watched are actually, hang on. One of the watches might have actually ranked lower than Catwoman, to be honest. Oh, I didn't think that was ever going to happen. But yeah, it's a real shame, especially because even the directors came out and said that they only found out when the news actually dropped. I was like, that is actually
which
horrible.
I think is a pretty... it's a pretty cruel move, really, like, isn't it?
They actually showed...
It's the same with, like, the actors and stuff you get in it. Like, you the only way you find out is through the news. Like, surely you would have your production company tell you, like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, rather than just like, oh, I'll check what's on Instagram or something like that, and then there it is. It's like, ah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that there was a lot of rumours thinking that, okay, so that means the rest of the DC slate's going to be pushed back a bit just to try and fix things. Apparently not. Apparently we're still getting Black Adam, Shazam 2 and Aquaman and The Flash when we're supposed to. But it has been revealed that they now have a team of people who are dealing with DC on film specifically. They're focusing exclusively on theatrical big blockbustery stuff as opposed to TV. They've got a 10-year plan, and it's essentially a mirror to Marvel. Again. And it was like,
but the difference is Marvel will actually distribute many films, whereas DC's like, well, yeah, you know how we said we're going to release that now? Yeah, another 5 or 6 years, give or take.
It's just, there's just no management at all, and I don't even believe they've got a 10-year plan, because I'm fairly certain
I think it's absolute
bollocks.
Bat poo.
Bat poo.
Yeah.
Bat fink.
I don't believe they have any sort of plan. I think they're just going to see what Black Adam and Shazam does, and then they're going to kind of think, well, okay, these did well, let's try with some other stuff, but I don't know. I really don't know. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, a bit. I mean, I think even as well, even having like Michael Keaton back, I still don't get that at all.
Yeah, I never understood why. Like, we haven't seen Michael Keaton in Batman since, like...
1989? No, 1992.
Yeah.
1992.
Like, the 90s, like, early 90s. You haven't seen him since then.
Mm-hmm.
Why bring him back as Batman now?
I don't even know when this film was even supposed to release. I don't even know if it was supposed to be this year or next, because then one of them's going to clash, and that's apparently why Ben Affleck's now in Aquaman 2, because of the swaps between him and the Flash. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, what even is his sort of like end goal in the Flash? Is he actually going to die or something, or is he just because obviously again Aquaman comes out first? I don't get it. There's just no, as you can tell, I'm just confused as hell quite frankly.
Oh yeah, it is. It's so confusing. Like, at least Marvel puts clarification into, like, okay, well, Fantastic Four is gonna do this. This is gonna be the end of this phase. At least they, like, have some kind of structure towards it. Like, DC's just like, okay, there you go.
Yeah, there's a film there. We don't even know if it connects to something. We'll put one out there. It might be connected to another one.
There's a film, and we're also update on the Flash. It's gonna be another 6 years.
Just end it, please. Like, I don't want to see that. I wouldn't care. It's just like literally as soon as I think David Zaslav did come out and say like he had seen the Flash and he really liked it and it's still going to be released, and then immediately there was a lot of other accusations and stuff. We're not going to get into that because I can't be asked anymore, frankly, because I'm sick of it. Like, if that film actually releases, okay, I'm not convinced personally. I'm really not convinced. But yes, that is the news. As I say, mostly just things that have been axed and cancelled and stuff like that, which is quite a shame. We'll now move swiftly on to the potential that Dan might have watched more than last week and more than me this week. What is your actual number? At a guess.
18.
18. Okay. Interesting.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Alright, so we're kicking off with a retrospective by Leighton Eversole. I'm digging a lot of his like retrospectives at the minute. I watched a retrospective of Halloween H2O, and again, a lot of behind the scenes stuff of this. I still don't really like the film because it's pretty obvious.
Really?
When you watch the behind the scenes stuff of it, like, you really do learn about what the hell went wrong. A lot went wrong.
A lot.
It was very enjoyable, very enjoyable. I was actually like watching this at work because it was just quiet as hell. So I was just sat there, just Then when a customer came in, just quickly pause it, and then when they go,
Oh, hello.
yeah. Next up is a Alter short film. This is a channel called Alter. They just specialize in just short horror films. Like, there's nothing more, just short horror films.
Okay.
And this is called Banshee. It's a film by Mata Ditko. Basically, it's the mythology of the Banshee kind of thing, like the creepy old woman in the tree sort of thing.
That screams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Now, this is my own retrospective for mine and Regan's upcoming horror podcast.
Yes,
Graveyard
finally.
Chit Chat. So, this was a rewatch of Halloween 4, and my retrospective towards it. I only watched it because I just don't really want to like rent it or buy it or anything like that. It's on Netflix, so I just thought, well, I'll just get it over and done with now. The same went for Halloween 5, which was just an absolute pain. Oh, I just don't like that film, man.
I'm just curious though, because clearly one of the first episodes is going to be on Halloween. Are you trying to tell me that I need to watch the rest of the Halloween films first?
Oh, God, like, I would subject you to some of the sequels, but, you know, in the future, maybe.
Okay.
You know, 4 is fine. It's fine.
Okay.
5 isn't. 5's not fine.
Is it
And then
Return or Revenge? I can't actually... Or is it Curse?
4 is Return of Michael Myers. 5 is Revenge of Michael Myers.
Okay.
The trivia part of it is that Mustafa Akkad, the producer, well, executive producer, wanted to, like, literally make another one straight after. Like, you can tell that it's a very rushed sequel, put it that way. When it's released 1 year later, it shows. So, the absolute excrement of a 7th sequel. Let's think here. So this isn't Halloween 6, right? It's not Halloween H2O. So this is, in fact, the 8th entry in the Halloween.
You better
This
not.
is Halloween Resurrection.
Oh, you absolute triffid.
This is just horrendously laughable. You don't laugh with it, you laugh at it.
That seems fair.
Busta Rhymes is in this, for Christ's sake.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
What, by
it's
choice?
so bad. It's hilarious, right? I'm just going to give you an example of how bad this film is, right? So the plot of this, right? The first 5 minutes, Laurie Strode is killed because her contract stated that she had to come back, but she wanted out of it because it was just an absolute piece of hot garbage. And it is. So she's killed off, and you think, okay, well, what happens now? So Michael goes back home, as he always does. And bunch of these weird social influencer kind of people decide to host a program called Dangertainment, a live streamed sort of interactive horror event inside the Myers house with contestants going out finding the truth about why Michael turned evil, etc. And Busta Rhymes, in order to make it more popular, dresses up as Michael Myers. Same mask and everything that's used in the film. And the Michael Myers comes into the same room as Busta Rhymes, and Busta Rhymes just says, like, so many swear words in one sentence. He's like, get the hell to the garage, she's waiting on you. And it's just like, oh, God. He karate kicks Michael Myers out of a window.
Okay.
Honestly, I just don't... Oh, Katie Sackhoff is in it as well.
Oh, fuck you.
Playing Jen, one of the most annoying characters I think I've ever seen in a film.
That seems... Oh, that's a real shame, because I do actually like Katie Sackhoff quite
Poor
a bit.
Katie Sackhoff. She didn't deserve to be in such a piece of Haddonfield hot garbage.
Nah.
Yeah, so put it this way, it's a pretty big retrospective on that.
Yay.
Next up is Terrifier 2, the teaser trailer. I don't know if you've actually seen Terrifier. Have you seen Terrifier?
I'm trying to think how much I know. I think I've seen screenshots, but it might just be from the first one. The screenshot I always remember from the film is I think it's in like a diner or something, and he's like watching someone at a table, and he's just sort of like jeering and smiling and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's that. Okay.
Yeah, that's Terrifier. Well worth a watch.
Okay, good.
Yes, well worth a watch. Very good director behind it. Very good story. Look, it's not exactly what I'd say a 5-star film, but by God, it's creepy.
Okay.
It's hell. So I really liked it. So I'm looking forward to the second one when it comes out. So, yeah, same director directing and everything. So, yeah. As always, a bit of Treehouse of Horror. So. Some season 15, season 16, and then just for some reason a huge jump to season 32.
Jesus.
I don't know why. I just like
I don't really want to 10 years worth of it.
Yeah, like I don't know why, but hey ho. So going back to video games, a bit of a progression on Dead Island. I'm about 76% of the way through the story.
I played Dead Island for the first time years ago, and I don't like it. I think it's really, really poor.
You know what it is? Like, I used to like it, but honestly, I can't really play it like for hour on end because it's just such a rinse and repeat game. Like, I know you could say a lot about GTA Online, which is actually the next slide into the next segment. A bit of GTA Online, just again taking advantage of the double money schemes on the VIP work, etc. So a bit of money towards businesses that I no longer have and have to repurchase, all this kind of stuff. And going on from last week, I kind of wanted to see if Rockstar's statement about the lack of griefing was any better. No.
No, it's not. Well, no, of course not.
No.
Because people are just going to find another way to grief anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even if, what they said is, griefing in public lobbies wouldn't improve griefers' KD. And?
So what?
Like, yeah, you've just made the KD warriors go to somewhere else, but who's to say that's going to stop, like, a griefer and, like, his, I don't know, oppressor blowing you up anyway? It doesn't matter about KD. Because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got, like, a 7 KD, it just shows you're a bit of a psychopath, really, and should probably go seek mental help.
I hate that fucking bike. Like, I really hate it.
I was doing so well for the language here. I'm being good, and then you just blurt out with that profanity.
Excuse me, it was the exact opposite last week. I was like, oh, look, I'm being kind, and then you just went nuts.
Ash vs. Evil Dead, episode 4 from season 2 and episode 5. I think I'm just going to do, like, maybe a couple episodes each week. Because it's only 3 seasons, so it's kind of pointless just binging an entire season. Because then I'm going to be lost. But yeah, continuing to enjoy it. It's, as I've said in the previous episode, it's definitely a lot funnier than this first season. Like, season 1 was great, but this is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Definitely more on, like, Evil Dead 2 humour side. much funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Another short film called Emptied. This is a film by David Farino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Very good as well. Another short horror film, but this was just sort of by a freelance director kind of thing. This is called The Changing Room. It's a horror film that's set in like a clothing shop, and somebody goes in the changing rooms after like opening hours and stuff like this, and creepy stuff happens, and it's done very well for a short film. It is done really well. Oh god. So, you know when you just struggle to find something to watch or rewatch, and you just hoy something just sort of serviceable, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
A rewatch of Bruce Almighty.
Ho, ho, ho. Careful here. We are in uncharted waters now. Are you telling me you don't like Bruce Almighty?
Look, it's fine, but there's just part of it where I just zone out because I'm so bored.
I'm disappointed in you, honestly.
Look,
Really
there are some
disappointed.
pretty fun moments in that film. I mean, Christ, even the scene where like he's got to get up and he just starts having a fit in the bed, that just still gets me.
Oh yeah, because, we all do that. Like, just like Regan, it's time for work. No. Every single
Yeah, it
time.
was fun. And now audible narration of Alien Out of the Shadows by Tim Leben. Okay, like I've listened to quite a few like Alien spin-offs and stuff like this, but this is by far like the most boring one I've listened to.
No.
There's just the story's okay. It's just not compared to like I don't know, River of Pain or something like that. It's just not that great. It's engaging enough, sure, but like I'm not gonna sit there and just listen to it like the entire day. I'd rather just listen to something a little better. Like it's fine, I guess. It's definitely a weak one, I'd say. But yeah, it was fine. Now, obviously, 18th entry here was Prey. Yeah. I mean, Regan and I are going to be talking about this a little later, so I won't obviously say too much, but yeah, I liked it.
Oh, you liked it, did you? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. Yes.
A bit.
So, handing the torch to my rather somewhat, can't think of a word, host.
Can't think of a word, host. I like that one.
Yeah.
That works. 24 things this week.
God, it's just got to be said you have no life, do you?
No. I mean, again, look, much like last week, some of it is bulked up by the fact I've watched nearly an entire series of horrible histories. Specifically Series 2. Which counts, so it's like 10 episodes or something. Yeah, look, I can't go into specifics on every single episode because it's just
No.
there's just so
Well, I
much.
mean, it's kind of like when we have watched like a huge amount of TV stuff. Like you can't like go in every single episode. It's just impossible to.
As we've proven with our Doctor Who perspectives.
Definitely.
It's surprisingly difficult. Yes. Very, very close to the end now. We'll skip the 13th episode because it's just the songs, and we've already listened to them plenty of times.
Those absolutely banging tunes, you mean?
Oh yeah. But then we are getting closer to the point where the songs aren't nearly as interesting. But whatever. Lots of random Doctor Who ones this week. I mentioned a while ago when I talked about going to rewatch Series 7, I was like, I don't really know where to start because everything's just sort of everywhere. So I kick things off with episode 3 of Series 7, A Town Called Mercy. This is the Wild West one with the gunslinger. Again, I've got quite a lot to say on this one when we get to it in, I think it's 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah,
But
a couple of weeks.
Yeah, probably one of the most underrated episodes of Doctor Who. I think I actually like it quite a lot.
Oh
But
yeah, I
much like
think
with
it's
some of the other episodes. It's kind of taken.
it's definitely an
time to get to
underrated
that.
gem. I think definitely one of the most underrated episodes out of a Matt Smith sort of era of Doctor Who. I think definitely.
Yeah. Then I skipped ahead to episode 13, The Name of the Doctor. um, the hype around this episode, I've never experienced a hype like this in an episode of Doctor Who ever. As soon as they dropped the poster, they're just like, oh yeah, this is called The Name of the Doctor, and everyone was like, what? Don't you dare! Don't you dare do that, Steve.
I remember the hype very well.
Yeah. It's quite rough for an episode from 9 years ago, especially for one that's capping off a series with 45 minutes and a not even half-baked companion, not even as baked as a bloody soufflés that you can't make. Why is that a thing in this episode? Why did they bring back this? Oh, anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Then the Day of the Doctor, just immediately after. I haven't watched this thing in years, as it turns out. But again, the hype around this one, I just really wish I'd seen it in a cinema, at least at the time. I couldn't watch it now. Again, it's quite rough. And then The Time of the Doctor, which I still cry at, but we'll get to that. It hurts.
Hurts is an understatement.
Yes. Next up was a first-time watch of Superman Red Sun. This is the animated adaptation of the much beloved graphic novel from some time ago. I don't know what year. I can't really remember. I only read it a couple of months ago, and I did actually really like it. It's essentially just like a what-if scenario of what if Kal-El, instead of crashing into Kansas, he crashed into a farm in the Soviet Union, and then just becomes a symbol for the Soviet Union. Lex Luthor's going to be the president of America, and Lois Lane is his wife. Batman has a Russian hat that looks just so warm and adorable.
The Bat Hat.
Yeah, the Bat. Naturally, with these animated adaptations, they are fairly close to the source material, but they're very, very short. This one was like 86 minutes. It does still cut out quite a bit and changes quite a few things from, which again, I know we'll talk about. I don't think I'll reference this one particularly, but I know like next week we'll be going into adaptations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for me, it always just comes down to, well, it doesn't have to be completely strict, but does it still retain a lot of the heart and the personality of the source material? If it does, then it's a success. Pretty surface level for the most part. It does cut out quite a bit. As in, like, Superman's just like a product of Stalin for like 10 minutes, annoyingly, and then just starts doing his own thing. I was like, I'm sure there was a lot more than this in the comic, quite frankly. Oh, sorry, the graphic novel. Can't call it a comic book, because, you know, that's for, like, children. I literally heard that.
The absolute blasphemy against collectors.
I can remember having a conversation about that with someone where they literally said, do not call it a comic book again because it isn't for children. I'm like, what? I was like,
I mean, I don't see comics as being like children's things.
No, and I just turned around and
okay.
said, I think you're just an idiot, frankly. I haven't spoken to him
you're
since.
just an idiot.
Back to Doctor Who. Despite the fact I saw Matt Smith die like the night before, I watched The Bells of St. John. just like 7 episodes prior. Introducing a bloody third version of bloody Clara, bloody Oswald.
Oh, yeah.
You know, back in the day, I actually watched this one a lot. It had like a lot of rewatchability value. I can always remember cutting to the bit when he's after Clara's died again. She dies twice in this episode, and it just cuts to that. It's sort of like a remix version of I Am the Doctor, and he's just racing across the bridge on the motorbike. That's just so awesome. I love that. I just love 11 on a motorbike.
I do really like that bit, despite that episode being a bit of a.
It's weird, to be honest, because I actually feel like it got to the whole Wi-Fi thing before Wi-Fi became a major thing. So I was like, good on you, Stephen, for actually getting to it beforehand. I actually quite like that. It is actually quite clever. It doesn't make it terrifying, unlike a puddle in Series 10, but it works for the most part. Got the finale for Halo Season 1. This is Episode 9. Again, I'll be talking about this in a proper review next week. Does it stick the landing? Depends on how you approve of the actual journey. To be honest, if you were hoping for something very close to the original games, you're not getting that here, at all. Although credit where credit's due, at least it focuses on bloody Master Chief again, and I think it's just completely forgotten about that other character that they invented for this series. I can't even remember what the hell happened to her. She's just not in this one. I'll give them credit, they actually do a really good job of humanising the Spartans, which I really like. As I say, next week. One of the most underrated episodes of Doctor Who of all time, The Rings of Akaten by Neil Cross. I will defend this episode until the day I die. I absolutely love this thing. I love the scale of it. I actually love the music. Again, I'm not a musicals person, but the music in this is amazing. That speech at the end, yes, it's over the top as hell, but my God, does it bring me to tears. Just like, damn you, Matthew Robert Smith, and your stupid bow tie. And Clara's in this, and you're shaking your head, and I'm gonna kill you next.
I'm not doing remotely anything.
Yeah, yeah. Do you disagree with everything I'm saying? Yeah,
look,
just about.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I guess. more to be added in a couple of weeks.
In a fortnight, I'll explain again why you have a different opinion.
In a fortnight, I'll emphasise why Regan is excessively misguided.
I'll show you misguided. Halloween Resurrection rewatch, you weirdo.
No, it's just not weirdo, it's just why.
Lightyear. I've watched it now.
Oh, you...
I went in with hope.
I'm curious on your thoughts on this.
Well, we both watched it on Wednesday because we were away on Tuesday and Wednesday because it was mine and my girlfriend's anniversary, so we went to Whitby. It was lovely. Absolutely loved it. Had day drinking and everything on the Tuesday. It was hilarious. So we came back on the Wednesday and watched that basically as soon as we got in. She loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Not you, though.
I thought it was complete rubbish.
Look, when I first saw the trailer for it, I just had absolutely zero interest in this thing.
I just had so many questions as to why this thing even exists. I'd even mentioned, I think it was because we talked about the film a couple of weeks ago when it got banned in like 30 countries or something, or 14 countries, I don't know how many. And I explained how the film itself exists in the Toy Story universe.
Yeah. As
a film that Andy watches and is his favourite film. Two things. Actually, no, three things. One, Andy is an idiot. Two, if this is his favourite film, he's clearly not seen very many films, frankly. Three, if this thing was made in the 90s, Star Wars clearly doesn't exist because this thing looks amazing. Visually it looks absolutely beautiful. Like, I cannot fault the look of it. But
so it's now questioning the fact whether Star Wars exists in the Toy Story universe.
I mean, I'm pretty certain it does because you do hear like Darth Vader's breathing at some point. I think it's in Toy Story 2. I think at the beginning when it's like when it's Buzz flying around space and stuff and fighting the evil Emperor Zurg, which he does in this film. I don't know if I'll do spoilers. Should I do spoilers? I mean, like, it's available on Disney Plus. This isn't going to be a review because I can't be arsed. They screw up Zurg. They screw up Buzz Lightyear. They screw up the lore. There's no reason for this thing to exist. It's boring as hell. It wasn't very funny. Yeah, it looks pretty, but my God, is the pacing all over the place. Like, I legitimately thought we were in the third act, like the final battle. We thought, okay, we've got about 15-20 minutes left. We had another hour. I was like, how is 45 minutes only elapsed now? There's like 2 or 3 different films in this film, all of which are more interesting. So I am actually going to reference, I mean, not verbatim, but even Tim Allen finally came out and talked about the existence of this film, and even he was saying, I don't understand why this is a thing, because he should have been in it. I mean, Chris Evans is fine. Like there's a couple of chuckly bits. Like, I do find it quite funny how he does like the whole Buzz Lightyear mission log thing and no one listens to us. I do quite like that. That is actually pretty funny. I also didn't need an origin story for his wings or his laser thing or anything else. Someone's like, no, I don't need that. No. Disappointing
No.
to say the least.
just no.
Yeah. Next up, because I hate myself like so much, I thought I'd like to watch another film that's like got like a lot of space stuff with aliens and action and complete nonsensical nonsense. So I watched Green Lantern because I've never seen Green Lantern.
No.
I've never seen it. I knew
Oh
nothing.
no.
Oh, do you want to?
Oh, Regan.
This took 3
Why?
days.
Why?
Why?
You know what it is, right? I'd rather watch Halloween Resurrection than watch that.
And you fucking did.
Smut.
And
And
you
I've not
did.
even watched it. I just know it's bad.
Oh, you know what it is? It just suddenly makes me question: is it possible to do a Green Lantern film live action? Because it exists purely in imagination. Just like, how are you going to beat this guy? Do I use a Hot Wheels car? Do I use a bunch of fighter jets to pull us back from the sun? Do I just use a massive fist? I'm like, or do I just use the most unconvincing CGI costume of all time? Like, it's nice to have context to that joke in Deadpool now. I actually went back as I was watching it and read Ryan Reynolds' live tweet of the film because he hadn't seen it until last year, and I think it was around the Snyder Cut release, and he was like, okay, we're going to watch this thing live and I'm just going to just tweet everything live. And he just lost the plot. He was just like, I don't fucking remember any of this. And he's like, oh, my wife is in this. Okay, I like it now. It's just funny how the director of this directed Casino Royale.
Yeah, I know.
Ouch. Oopsie. Yeah, don't watch this. It's the worst DC film ever. It just is. Sorry.
What, even worse than Catwoman?
Yeah, because at least Catwoman is entertaining as fuck. This just isn't.
Oh, dear,
Even though
oh dear.
Catwoman should actually be Badger Woman because her costume is clearly a badger, not a cat.
Badger Woman.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it, Dan.
Yeah.
I watched Prey, both versions. Next up was the Lego Star Wars. I'm keeping this until later. I'm leaving you in the dark. Next up was Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation, from the iconic director. I was going to search his name because he's clearly not iconic. I've forgotten it. I think his name is Ken. I'm pretty certain it's Ken. Let's just check. Yes, it is actually Ken. Ken Cunningham. Ken Kenningham.
Right, okay.
So he did the Halloween special of Lego Star Wars last year, and then he did the holiday special the year before, which I still think is quite good. It's quite annoying, frankly, that thing is actually quite good. I had this about on the same level as the Halloween one, which is just like an anthology of weird stories. Like, you've got Obi-Wan in, like, I think it's like Jabba's palace, and he's like trying to blend in, and he's not very good with fun, and he's singing and stuff like that. Then they have the balls to have a chase with Boba Fett. Chronology, I've got questions, and it just starts playing the Boba Fett theme from his TV show. I'm like, you have some balls now. You have some balls. I also find it a little bit wrong how they bring out the idea that on Scarif from Rogue One, the planet at the end with the beach and stuff, they suggest that the old Imperial Watchtower where they've got the plans has now been converted into a hotel.
I mean, you know.
That's a bit cruel, quite frankly. It's a bit of an insult to...
You know, just go to like a real estate showing of it. So this tower was used by the oppressive empire, but let's just ignore that.
The oppressive empire? They weren't oppressive, well, they were a little bit. I kind of liked it better than the Halloween one, but not by much. It's still pretty mid. Next up, Rage of the Mummy. Ooh, you'll have never heard of this. I'm actually going to send you a link to the trailer. It's on Prime Video, and I highly recommend you just watch the trailer. Don't watch the film.
No.
I knew I was in for just absolute shit as soon as it opens with them in like the tomb of this pharaoh and two guys walk in who have clearly been like grave robbing. One of them is just in a shirt and jeans.
I mean,
I'm like, you haven't dug through sort of like 30 levels of sand and rock, and you're just completely clean. And like, oh look, the tomb. It's like, what the hell were you expecting?
I mean, even with a title like that, it just kind of says it all, doesn't it? Like...
Now, the company that did it, I'm fairly certain are the guys that did Shark Exorcist. I'm fairly certain it's the same guys. There's plenty of instances where it's clear that it's supposed to be in different locations. It's literally just in different rooms in one guy's house. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
the old location trick.
Oh yeah, we did it very well. Except we made it very clear in our short film that it was just in the same house, so it's fine. We actually got away with it. Next up was something that is actually good. Very, very good, actually. In fact, it's fucking brilliant. The 5-ish Doctor's reboot. Have you actually heard of this one? Or even seen it?
I haven't watched the reboot. I've seen the original. That was a long, long time ago.
So, this is actually directed by Peter Davison. Surprisingly enough. And it's basically him, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy all play parody versions of themselves who are getting really frustrated with the fact that they haven't been called back to be in the 50th anniversary. So they do everything in their power to sneak onto the set. Hilarity ensues. It's like honestly,
that just does sound absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I've got it on the 50th anniversary steelbook I got months ago, because I've never been able to watch it anywhere else. It's just utterly hilarious. I love it so much, and there's so many cameos. Like honestly, when you get Ian McKellen and Peter Jackson to do cameos because Sylvester McCoy is supposed to be filming The Hobbit at the same time. This is the closest we've had Peter Jackson doing Doctor Who, because he was quoted to like direct an episode in Capaldi's era for a while, but could never commit to it. And I was like, I want to see that. I want to see an episode directed by Peter Jackson. That would be amazing. But alas, we didn't get that. But this is still hilarious, and honestly, like just one of the finest things to come out of the 50th anniversary, frankly. And finally, from last night, this is actually a video game adaptation, which I didn't realise, from Ubisoft. Again, didn't realise it was a thing. It's on Netflix, Werewolves Within. Basically a whodunit with a werewolf.
I didn't know it was an adaptation. I just thought it was just some film.
I didn't know either. I kind of figured it out as soon as, as soon as the first logo drops and it's just the Ubisoft logo, I was like, I have put on Netflix and not Game Pass, right? Annoyingly.
So what game's it based off then? Because I just thought this was like some film.
It's a VR game or something that's set in like medieval England, and it's it's the same premise. You're locked in a house or like a mansion or something or a castle, and you have to figure out who the werewolf is. I'm like, how the hell do you do that as a VR thing? That sounds rubbish.
So it's basically like the Thing game.
Yeah, it's a mixture of like Knives Out, The Thing with a werewolf, and I'm like, that's really cool. I like that. Lot of fun, to be honest. I had a lot of fun with it. Very, very brisk. It's a very, very short film. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Definitely one of the better. I mean, it's weird. I can't really call it like one of the best video game adaptations because I've never played the game, so I've got no idea. But yes, that's my 24 things. Now, 2022 has been crap for film, hasn't it, Dan? Has been crap. It's been rubbish.
It has definitely been
a mixed bag.
Questionable.
Yes.
Disappointing.
In a few ways, yeah.
Yeah, there's only really a couple of things I've seen that have done well. Scream being one of them, and that was back in January.
Mm-hmm.
Most of which everything else has just been...
Yeah.
But then along came an alien hunter,
but just
from outer space.
Yes, we are now finally talking about Prey. As I say, we're going to do spoiler free for a bit. I'll do a brief rundown of the plot, just because, so this is directed by Dan Trachtenberg and is a prequel to the previous 4 films. It's set in the Comanche lands of the 1700s, 1719 specifically. And we follow Naru, played by Amber Midthunder, who's trying to prove herself as a hunter, when another hunter rocks up to just cause chaos. And she has to
just absolutely decimate. It's not even chaos; it's just decimation.
Yeah. And naturally, if you've seen a Predator film, we know usually how this goes. She has to figure out how to defeat this thing, especially considering that not really well adapted to fighting this thing, quite frankly. But then again, neither is the Predator. So last week I started watching the Predator films. I skipped the Predator because I don't want to watch it. And yeah, I watched Green Lantern. Don't. I've got some weird quirks, as it turns out.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch Green Lantern than the Predator.
Look, the Predator isn't exactly a great film, but I could probably guarantee you it's definitely better than that absolute Lantern turd.
Oh, I hope it is. I hope it's worse. But yes, I really like Predator. I also really like Predator 2. I couldn't give a shit about Predators. Alien vs Predator is fun. And Alien vs Predator was shot with cameras, with minimal lighting, and then released. Probably, I couldn't see.
It's not AVP Requiem, it's AVP no lighting.
Yeah. AVP 2
or lack thereof.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're in pretty much the same opinion there. Like, the first 2 films are definitely the positive ones. Predators, no, because I just don't give an absolute care in the world for any of the human characters at all. The Predators look cool, admittedly, but, I'm sorry, but that's just not enough for a film that is labelled Predators.
Yeah.
You kind of expected a little bit of something good out of it, but honestly, no.
Yeah, exactly.
And then The Predator, no.
Yeah,
no.
As I say, I'm definitely not going to bother with it. We did talk about the early reactions to this thing from Comic-Con last week. Really, really positive. People were really, glowing all over it. That sounds horrible. We'll just move on. Wording, honestly. But context I even said, matters. Context. I'd mentioned how I was, really looking forward to this one. But at the same time, still a bit reserved because, before this film, the success rate was half-ish. Haven't not even seen the 4th one. Haven't seen Prey. Who wants to go first? Should it be me or should it be you?
You know what? Seeing as how it's usually me, I'll let you do it this time. Just break the rule a bit.
Is this going to be like Thor again? That's a good question, isn't it?
God.
Oh. So those reactions, a lot of people labelled it like the best Predator film since the original, which kind of goes without saying. Some said it was even better than the original. Some were like, I wouldn't go that far. I thought Prey was absolutely magnificent. I'm not even bullshitting. I absolutely love this thing. I am actually just going to straight up say it's better than the original. That's now 2 legacy films this year where I think it's better than the original. I've actually got very little to say that's negative, quite frankly. I absolutely adored this thing. If I had to be nitpicky, it was just the fact that I was a bit disappointed that the Comanche dub on Disney Plus is literally just a dub, when the director Dan Trachtenberg had mentioned that the shot alternate takes in Comanche. So I thought, we're going to get it like that. No. But that is pure just nitpicking. Otherwise, I absolutely love this thing, to bits. I love the lead protagonist. Naru is absolutely terrific. I love the Predator. He's absolutely badass. Looks amazing. Direction is absolutely stellar. The visuals are amazing. The direction is really good. The score's really good. It's nice and brisk as well. It's 99 minutes or something. It's just perfect runtime. I loved it. I'm just happy. It's the best film I've seen all year. I'm saying it. Please tell me you have just been bullshitting me and you actually despise this film.
Well.
Oh dear.
What if I was to say I think this is just absolutely superb? It's just better
Yes.
than every other Predator film out there. It's absolutely amazing. I was ever since the trailer, I've had an itching to see this, and again, I kind of felt a bit mixed about it because obviously with its history of success, it always has been a bit of a worry with me, because it's, let's face it, a lot of the later films were a bit meh.
Yeah.
But I think this is just absolutely amazing, and I just love the fact of it's set in this particular time era. There's no technology that the humans have, so it's just pretty much that the Predator is a force to be reckoned with. It's brutal as hell.
Oh yeah.
I love it. I mean, hell, some of the scenes were just so jaw dropping. That's a bit of a mouthful. It was absolutely fantastic, and I tell you what, like the look of the Predator was absolutely badass, and the updated visuals of the invisibility cloaking were tremendous. Like I've always loved that about Predator, and sure, like it looked cool in the '90s, and the first release of Predator, it looked cool then. But this is just like absolutely outstanding. The visuals are fantastic. The score's impeccable. The acting is absolutely strong as hell. The characters are just lovable. Really, like I couldn't fault any character. There wasn't a single character that I wasn't really interested in. Like hell, I even liked the annoying ones who were just like, hey, you saw this, and
Yeah.
then they get absolutely butchered. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
glad something like this happened.
Yeah. It's just
And
that.
with its runtime as well, it doesn't feel like it's a badly paced film. It's just nice and like smooth, I think is what I want to use. Like it just has a perfect arc in my opinion. You start off with this character and then you learn what their kind of goal is throughout the film. And then that goal happens and it's like, yep, I like this film. So thank you. Thank you for a good film this year because I honestly haven't seen a decent film since Scream.
I know it's been really weird. I mean, like, even looking at my top like 10, I think it's similar to some of the previous years where like even like number 10, it's not great like at all. Like even
Yeah.
2021, granted, there's like nearly 70 films on that one now. Like even like the top 10, they're all amazing to really great. And 2022, like until like a couple of weeks ago, like the top one was a film that wasn't even released in 2022. So I was hinging on it being not really a thing. The other one is the 5-hour sci-fi documentary. I think Sonic the Hedgehog is in there somewhere, and Scream. Like it's a weird mix, and it's just I'm just really happy that like this one came out and it's actually really damn good. I just really wish it should have been in a cinema because it absolutely should have been.
I wish it would have been an in picture release thing because I would have loved to have seen this in cinema, but alas, this isn't the case. But either way, I'm still really pleased with it, and it hasn't disappointed in the slightest.
No.
There's really not a lot I could say negatively towards it because there just really isn't.
No. Amber Mid Thunder is absolutely amazing in this, though. Like I loved her
Without
so
a doubt.
much. Like she
Without
throws
a
herself
doubt.
into everything in this film. I mean, I don't know how much of the stunts she did, but it looks flawless. Like you wouldn't think that had like a stunt double like in one place. She looks absolutely terrific in this film. As a protagonist as well, like it's not like I mean, Dutch in the original film is by no means the most compelling character in human history. For Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is, because he's actually got a bit of character as opposed to just like a personality quirk. But this is like a proper underdog story for her because she's like routinely told, "No, you are not going to be a hunter. That isn't you." Even though she's clearly got the skills, and you see her training with her axe. The axe thing, I love that axe.
God. I love that. Especially
love the axe.
the final showdown as well. I thought that was just yes.
Ah, yeah.
But you know what strikes me as so funny though, Regan? It comes to something when the prequel is just far better than every other Predator film out there.
That's nuts though. Like this is the rare instance. I think honestly, beyond X-Men First Class, this is the only prequel I can think of that outdoes its predecessors in every way. Like it just doesn't happen because it's always just like stuck with the traditions. It's stuck with the timeline, but because it's 300 years before like the original film, you can do whatever the hell you want. Frankly.
I mean, hell, even the little subtle reference to Predator 2 was just like...
Ah, yeah, we will get to that. I didn't
Oh,
realize that.
I was just so pleased with it when like I honestly smiled when I saw it. I thought, oh, you absolute beauty.
Cheeky. Um,
Thank
but
you.
yeah, she's really good. But the one thing I will say actually before we get into spoilers is, well, two things actually. For one, the Predator is actually a character in this. Like, it's not just an unstoppable killing machine. You
Oh
literally have
yeah.
scenes with him on his own, and I love the fact that this is his first time on Earth and he's studying the ecosystem. He's like, oh, I'm watching the wolf hunt the rabbit. Do I hunt the rabbit, or do I hunt the wolf? Or do I hunt the bear that's hunting the wolf? Or do I hunt the human that's hunting the bear? Which one do I go for? And he's
Yeah.
actively thinking about it, and it's nuts. I wouldn't have
I
expected
thought
that.
that was terrific because
Very,
it's
very
like,
clever.
well, where do what is like the food chain in this ecosystem kind of thing. He's trying to figure out who is the hunter, like the biggest one of all, which is obviously why it's called prey.
Yeah.
Terrific.
And last bit before spoilers. Dan Trachtenberg, I've always adored as a filmmaker. Ever since I saw Cloverfield Lane, I absolutely adore that film. And he's like, for that being his first film, that was just a miracle, frankly. Then he went on to direct the pilot of The Boys, which I've heaped a lot of praise on. Absolutely terrific. So the fact that he gets this now is even better, quite frankly, because he brings that same sensibility that he had, where he's quite happy to just leave the camera hanging on a few things and let the camera do the storytelling. Like, it does the classic thing that it does with Predator, where you just pan towards the trees and just leave it there. Maybe the Predator's there, maybe he isn't. Who the hell knows? We will never know. He just leaves it there. Maybe for like an action sequence, he'll just leave it rolling as like characters are fighting back and forth. It's easily some of the finest action in the entire franchise, without a shadow of a doubt. And again, it's very difficult to top that original film for just complete balls to the wall action. This just feels a little bit more vicious, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, I think it's the whole primitiveness of it as well. Like it's not just humans going guns blazing like it is in the first film or the second film. Like, I mean, let's face it, that first film is pretty action reliant.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, the only thing, like, I think to why I prefer it is like, it actually feels a little bit more horror, like central this time. It doesn't in the first
Yeah,
film
definitely.
like it just kind of meanders off into like Dutch killing a bunch of like I don't know like I can't remember what they're called, like just a bunch of people just in the jungle, like mercenaries in the jungle or something. And then it's like, oh yeah, the Predator, he's here too. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
it just kind of feels like a typical Schwarzenegger action film at times. And then it
Yeah.
kind of redeems itself a bit, and but no, I think this is just absolutely superior compared to every other one that's out there so far.
Isn't it nice to actually like share like a very similar viewpoint on a film? It just never happens. 26
Oh
episodes and it's
no,
finally happens. What are the odds of that happening again for the rest of this year?
I
No,
mean, I
actually,
guess we're gonna
probably.
see.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah. Now look, I mean, to be honest, this film doesn't have a whole lot of spoilers, but if you haven't seen the film, obviously we do recommend it. It's available on Disney Plus. Watch either version. I'm assuming you just watched the English version. I'm guessing.
Yeah, the with the subtitles dubbed, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's go in. Let's go into spoilers. Going a little bit back to the actual predator creature itself. Obviously, this thing is a lot more stripped back. It's a lot more simplified because it hasn't fought on Earth before. It doesn't need the lasers and stuff because it doesn't know what the hell it's going up against. So obviously the design is very, very different compared to what we've seen. It's still like quite big and bulky, but it's still quite streamlined. There's not like a lot of like armor on top of this. It's quite exposed.
Yeah.
Obviously the helmet is just like a bone kind of structure that's literally just sitting on like the top 3/4 of the face, and the mandibles are still there. I love that design. I absolutely adore that. That's beautiful. Quite
It's actually
frankly.
nice to see it like in that form rather than all this like armored stuff. I mean, look, it's an iconic character in cinema, Predator, without a doubt. But seeing it in a new and updated design, and like as you say, like before he like goes to Earth and battles and has all this technology and stuff like that, it's actually nice to see he has some limitation and towards him not being a total killing machine.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, look, he's a killer in this
Um.
film, but it's nothing like
Oh yeah.
compared to what he would become.
What do you think on the face? Because I've heard like a lot of mixed stuff on the face. Like some people really, really don't like it. I just think they're wrong. I think it looks absolutely beautiful, frankly.
It kind of sticks with the whole. Well, I think it fits into the whole timeline nicely. I mean, look, it's set in, you know, long, long time ago, like 300 years ago, kind of situation.
1719.
So, I suppose you could say evolution in some ways. I like it. I personally like it. I think it's a
I
much
love
better
it.
close-up because it's always with the last sort of chunk of the Predator and Predator 2 film, where the final showdown and then the face of the Predator is revealed. But in Prey, it's actually like revealed quite a few times. And I love it. I
Yeah.
love the design of it. I think it looks so cool.
And obviously, because we're dealing with a predator that hasn't got all that ammunition, you're also dealing with a Comanche tribe that does not have any weapons. Although you do have those bloody French voyagers that pop up about halfway through to just cause
The
chaos.
French trappers.
Which,
Oh my goodness.
which we'll get to, because there's things with that. Obviously, the final showdown with the Predator and Naru is amazing. Like, I love how like everything was set up from the beginning, like the bog, the axe on the tree, all of it is set up so well. And I think I knew I was gonna love this. Like literally, as soon as it got to the point when he gets stuck in the bog, and I just smiled so gleefully. I'm like, you are so fucking clever. I love that. But I think as well, just the fact it gets killed by its own reflection thing. Like it took us a while to pick up on that.
Oh, the targeting
Like,
system. Yeah, I was just that is absolutely genius.
I didn't actually pick up on this when I was watching the film. When I read the synopsis afterwards, because I felt like I missed something because it did the whole thing of why the predator can't see Naru, and initially it's like, oh, because it doesn't deem her a threat. No, it's actually because one of the flowers that she's been eating drops her body temperature. So it's similar to
Yep.
Dutch in the original film, because I thought they were going to do that because she does end up in the bog and she's covered in mud. I thought, oh, okay, so sorry,
Yeah,
that's how
I
she's not
was
seen.
sticking with that bog scene when she came out. I was honestly expecting to like have like the typical shot of like the Predator standing on the log or something like that and looking down, like scanning and stuff, but it wasn't. And then it's revealed that the stuff that she eats is actually what is making her somewhat invisible,
Yeah,
obviously with the body heat. I was like, that is such a good ploy.
but I think I finally figured out. I think it was after one of the French voyagers asks for help after she's nearly torn him to pieces, and she gives him one of the flowers, just as like a healing thing, and then his body clock drops, and now the thing can't see either of them. I thought that's actually quite clever. I quite like that. It's like a nice twist on the whole thing of why it can't see you, because there's no way to drop your body clock without doing that in that time period, because you haven't got like whatever. But that entire fight is amazing. I absolutely love it. I think it's terrific. It really sells you on how Naru could actually beat this thing. Because let's face it, like beyond Arnold Schwarzenegger, none of the protagonists of the Predator films physically could actually defeat this thing. Which even he couldn't, without like resorting to like very basic measures of like a bow and arrow and flames and stuff. But she's very tactical, and I love that. So obviously the big thing, which I cannot believe I didn't clock onto this when I watched Predator 2. I don't know how I didn't clock onto this, but I think when I got about halfway through, and the French voyagers rocked up, and I was like, hang on a second. The gun at the end of Predator 2, is it because this thing, because I know the gun has its origin. Well, its origins got revealed in like a comic book or something a few years back. That's actually set in 1715. The same inscription on the gun. This is obviously set a few years later. But Naru gets the gun off that French voyager that she tries to help. And at that point, I was like, you are going to kill the Predator with this gun, aren't you? No, you don't. Excellent subversion there. I really like that. It was funny how she did get him, but didn't actually kill him. So obviously, once she's killed the Predator, she brings like the head back to her tribe. She says, "We're gonna have to leave. Things are becoming." two ways to look at that: either predators or man is going to be coming for them.
Yeah.
So the predator's going to have to get a hold of that gun again, and you do actually see in the stylized end credits before the main credits, you do see the very last bit of artwork. Which, by the way, the artwork in those end credits is amazing. You do see Naru leading her tribe, and you see 3 predator spaceships pop up, ready to attack, and then it just cuts and then goes back to the rest of the credits. I'm like, oh, you are cheeky.
Yep.
Question is, though, would you want to see a sequel to this that deals with that? Or is that a bit too fan servicey? Because you'd only do that to explain more to do with the gun, quite frankly, and I don't want that to be the plot device for these films.
It would be the central plot device. I think like it, if they made a direct sequel to it, you're basically just doing like a very prehistoric version of Predators at that point. If you're just using Predators,
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, sure, if you want the gun origin and stuff like this, but I don't think it's too important. Sure, it's like a neat little reference and stuff like this, but I don't think you need like a full-on feature film of the origin of a pistol.
Well, yeah, because we already have enough of that in like Star Wars and Marvel these days. Whenever they do prequel kind of things, and it's just like an origin for Han Solo's jacket, because everyone wanted to know that one. No, we didn't actually. We wanted a good film. Anyway,
but it's like Marvel with the, Infinity Stones and stuff like this, with the credit scenes with Thanos and stuff like this. It's all that kind of stuff. So. No, I think we've seen our fair share of stuff like this, so... I mean, I don't know if they're going to do a sequel to this. I mean, I love this, so I guess we'll see.
It's weird. The weird thing is, though, is that all of a sudden... because I always wanted to see a film like this set in the past with an unstoppable killing machine, but I actually wanted it to be done with Terminator as opposed to Predator. Which I think would have also... I mean, for one, I'd quite like to see Terminator in the Old West. That would be pretty awesome. But then Doctor Who already did that. So
yeah,
all of a sudden James Cameron would be ripping off a tiny sci-fi show from the BBC.
I'd still like to see that though, even though it would be a bit of a rip-off. I think it would be so fun though.
Because it's weird, because there's so many ways you could go with this, but then I don't want them to milk the franchise, because I quite like the fact how every title is very simple. I mean, you kind of do it anymore, not unless you do Predators or Preys
or Preys
or Prey 2
or like or where they do like something that when they change like the letter to a number which signifies how what entry this is. So like if they did Prey, like they put the 3 instead of the E, something like that.
Per 3
Per 3, yeah.
Per 3.
Well, it's like Scraform.
Scraform. Or 5 cream, as I still like.
5 cream. Soon to be 6 cream.
Ugh, absolutely not. No. We already confirmed the title was Scream!
Oh yeah, the exclamation marks are very important.
Yeah. Is there any more spoilers than that? I don't think we've missed anything.
I will say the end battle is just absolute carnage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the stuff with like the fog.
My God,
is amazing.
Yeah,
that's
it's absolute carnage. It's absolute. Do you know what it is? Like, despite its rating, like I'm surprised this thing isn't an 18. Like, it's pretty violent.
Is it not an 18?
I'm sure it's 16.
I mean, like, it's difficult to say because I mean, like with Disney Plus, it's because they've got like American ratings. So
yeah,
I don't actually know.
It could be, but
I think 16 is the equivalent of an 18.
I'm gonna actually look. Let's have a look. Well, if you want to know what Rotten Tomatoes says, they've given 93%.
That is actually the highest of the entire franchise as well.
Yeah.
That's really apt.
Oh, okay, so it is actually rated R, so it's an 18.
Yeah, okay then. I mean...
And I can see why, because...
like, the bloodiest kind
there
of...
are some pretty grim
18,
scenes.
I mean, like, even Scream earlier this year was far more gory for an 18, but at the same time it didn't need to be. It's, it's about as gory as it should be. It's oh man, my god, it's just perfect. I'm just happy. Like, I'm really here. Like, genuinely, I was really looking forward to talking about Thor because I thought it would be funny to talk about it. But this one, I'm really looking forward to talking about it because I just love it. Absolutely adore it.
Oh,
I want to watch it again.
It's absolutely terrific. It's got to be said, when she goes on the little revenge quest against the, like, I guess you call him like the leading French trapper, and obviously he's been injured by the Predator, and he wakes up and the rats are just eating his leg. I was just like, I love this. And then she obviously lures the Predator, but because she's eaten the stuff, she's invisible. He's not, and he just gets decapitated. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's
like
incredibly clever.
oh.
It's the noise is coming from Dan in episode 26. It's just
The gore.
It
Oh.
is just bordering on.
Oh, the gore.
Yeah, I mean, I could say final thoughts. I think we've already had our final thoughts for the last 10 or 15 minutes. We just love this thing. Absolutely love it.
Can't recommend it enough. Like, it is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I recommended it to my friend John, because he didn't even realise the film even existed. He hadn't seen any of the trailers, so I mean, I just, I broke it down a bit without spoiling it, and he said he was going to give it a watch. Hopefully, he's watched it before next week's episode, so I can give brief thoughts on that. Shout out to John. Hi, John. Also, shout out to my friend Nathan as well, who's been listening to our Doctor Who specific episodes.
Thank
He
you.
didn't say more than that. Maybe he absolutely despised it. We don't know yet. I'll find out in a couple of days. Just like, Regan, I'm sorry, they were absolutely dog shit. Like, honestly, I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. Oh boy, yes, that has been our thoughts on Prey. As you can probably tell, we're both very, very happy with it. Next week's going to be slightly more interesting. We're not doing like a review of anything. I'll be doing a review for Halo, but we're going to be talking about adaptations in general. I've called it the dangers of adaptation because a lot has been said over the last few years of, oh, well, I don't like this thing because it's not strict to the source material. And I'm like, is that needed? Like, really, is it needed? So I'm sure we'll have a nice discussion about that. We'll probably have examples of when it's worked and when it hasn't. Probably a lot when it hasn't.
Oh yeah, got a feeling that's probably going to be most of it, but the occasional, okay, yeah, this worked.
Yeah. But yes, that'll be us next week. So thank you very much for listening to this week's episode. We'll be back next week with episode 27. Thanks everyone and take care.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.